took him 31 races, but William Brock finally got his first career victory after getting his first career lap led. Can he make it back-to-back with a bid in the All-Star race? We're here at Green Valley Super Speed Ring, which is full of speed, but could it also be full of danger as these guys are going all out for a victory? And in racing here, we'll see some of the top drivers and those performances that they have been putting up throughout the seasons. Well, if the Open was a prelude for anything, it's that this All-Star race should be a doozy. We've got 16 drivers here looking to be the first one to claim the title of winning the NFRN All-Star race here in Norwood, Missouri at Green Valley Super Speed Ring.
Hello again, everybody. Colin Denton here with RVN. This is an event that we've been waiting for a long time. The inaugural NFRN All-Star race, pitting some of the best drivers that this league has to offer in one field. We have 12 drivers, all of whom have won a race in the past year and a few races. We had a lot of roster turnover between 2016 and 2017, hence the reduced field, but we do have a good amount of veteran drivers in this field as well as many rookies who got wins to start off the 2017 season, all taking part in this event. We also had 3 rookies that won the transfer spots in the NFRN All-Star Open, along with Noah Cars, who got the fan vote. That makes a field of 16 drivers that are going to see who can claim the first NFRN All-Star title. This is a fast and fun racetrack here in mid-southern Missouri, and we're going to see how this really shakes out for these drivers. This is a good learning opportunity for when they go into the points-paying race next week at the same racetrack. And this is going to be a great practice opportunity, but of course, everyone wants to go for the big cash prize that comes with this race. So, we're going to see which one of these drivers has the best opportunity to get themselves up front. And of course, you got to just keep yourself on the lead lap throughout the 4 segments that we have in this one. But for now, let's head down track side and get the starting command to start off this race.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Triple Crown winner, Victor Espinoza.
Drivers, start your engines.
With engines roaring to life, it's time to take a look at the starting grid for today's race. These are set by single car qualifying with the exception of the final 2 rows, which are based on the All-Star Open transfers and where they finished in those spots. Julio Caesar, our first winner of the season, is able to grab the pole in this one, and William Brock on his outside was able to sneak his way into this event by grabbing his first career victory last race. Row 2 includes Amethyst Ashley, who only has 2 top 10s this season with that win at Pixcliff included in that. And Rampage is our first driver among the 2016 winners in this field, and he starts in place number 4. Colin Lindsay dropped back to the Amateur Cup Series this season, but as one of the original season winners, he is able to run in this one, starting in place number 5. NASCAR Fan 19, a 2-time winner, starting behind his teammate in place number 6. Row 4 has 2 veteran drivers who have struggled to take off so far this season. Nick Smith running 27th in points and Stephen Willey running 44th. One of the top drivers this year, Stuart Gradden, the Blue Bullet, started the season with 4 top 10 finishes. Lost that streak last race, but is starting 9th here today. Kenny Knox surprised everybody by winning as an Amateur Cup Series driver a series up, and he is going to be able to make his start here, currently running top 14 in the standings down there. He starts in place 10. Johnny Gardner is our only veteran driver with a win who did not make the chase last year, and that was because he won his race in the midst of the chase and obviously was not included in that at the time. He starts in place number 11. Reese Butcher won at Delaware last season, but hasn't seen victory since, in place number 12. And our final 2 rows consist of our open transfers. Ryan Maiden, our segment 1 winner, on the inside of row 7, and David Davidson on the outside. And in row 8, Jet Krause, the segment 3 winner, and Noah Cars, our fan vote winner, rounds out the field. Well, it all comes down to this. 16 drivers looking to get the coveted title of winning the first ever All-Star race. We'll know in 70 laps time who that is, but the green flag flies and the NFRN All-Star race is on. First lap in the books and 4 wide really early, and Julio Cesar caught on the high outside with absolutely no drafting help. Your pole sitter might just drop all the way to the rear of this field right away, but they're all running in a big pack right now, so no one's lost the draft yet. And now we see Davidson's the one that gets out in front. Is there still 4 wide back here? We see now Colin Lindsay making his move to the inside, and he will take the lead from the 11 car early in this third lap. Lindsay has one start this season. Ran it at Columbia and finished 31st after getting involved in the first accident and dropping out later. And obviously a big disappointment that he's not competing in the Elite Cup Series this season after finishing runner-up in the championship standings to the car that is now about to take the lead from him. Rampage on the inside and moving to the point with Amethyst Ashley and William Brock as well, trailing on the heels. That one car is still showing a lot of force. After winning the inaugural championship, he's currently running second in points and showing a lot of power in his sophomore season, but he still lacks the victory that he needs to get into another chase. However, he is in the position that Kenny Knox, who is now on his inside, as he goes up 4 wide and falls back. The number 1 car would be in the position to take that spot in the playoffs. And we're seeing right here, this looks like it happened as we ride on board Gradden. And ew, man, Lindsay and Gradden might have made a little contact, slipped down the racetrack, hit the 64 car. And NASCAR Fan 19 touching the grass a little bit on the front stretch. A little bit dodgy to start off this one, but we're still racing and riding on board Gradden there. We're still going to have the helmet cam on him as long as he is still the hot seat winner for this next race. We're fortunate to have him on the All-Star race from winning Pikes Peak. Jet Krause looks like he's dropped a little bit from this pack that still continues to run pretty solidified. And it could be a good strategy move for the 34 car, because as long as you can stay on the lead lap, you can keep advancing through the segments. So this could be a good wreck avoidance strategy. As long as this race is this track is still pretty draft dependent, but for the length of the laps, having 20 of them throughout this segment and the amount of time you could lose per lap, it doesn't seem like you could lose a lap just by falling off the draft. There still is a small amount of time that could happen. So it could be a good strategy for the 34 car of Jet Krause to move throughout the segments. But we'll see if that ends up happening. Or he could make his push pretty late. And now Johnny Gardner looks like he slipped up on the inside, dropping back a little bit, and Jet Krause catches up to him. Gradden's also starting to fade back just a little bit. And man, the 34 car, wow, he's really pulling through that. He just soared past Gradden, and maybe it wasn't a strategy move. Maybe Krause was just dropping back a little bit because he couldn't catch the draft, but he clearly wants to be up in this main pack because he just demolished Gradden going by into turn number 1. And now we see that's Reese Butcher and Julio Cesar, I think, also faded a little bit there, as we have 3 wide in the front and Lindsay looking to make it 4 wide. And Ryan Maiden's going to be the one that kind of bails on that, or else he might have just been at a little disadvantage on the outside line. But Stephen Willie up here looking to contend for the victory, and he's got a 30-race winless streak going for him. He's our first ever race winner. He won at Bump Drafting last season, our first race of the league in general. But he has not seen victory lane since then, and his 2017 campaign is off to a terrible start. Trying to see if this All-Star race can get a little bit of confidence in him. And this also serves as a good amount of practice for drivers in race condition. And we see Nick Smith starting to fade back a little bit there. But the 62 car can gain a lot of experience on this racetrack as long as he's running with other cars. And that will help him in the main event, hopefully. The one that will count for championship points. So a lot for Willie to learn in this racetrack and see if he can turn his season around as he currently runs last place among all of the full-time drivers in standings. Currently on lap number 12, Kenny Knox making the move to the inside of Amethyst Ashley. We're catching up on what we expect would be our first pit cycle. I believe it was lap number 13 that the majority, if not all of the drivers, tried to come down under a green flag pit stop. Of course, that did result in a wreck. We'll see if we hit the same results this time around. And we're looking at David Davidson, currently 29th in points. Has a best finish of 13th. I believe that was at Pikes Peak. And that was a race that he led a ton of laps on. But unfortunately, it looks like it just didn't pan out. And we do see the cars coming to pit road, but big disaster as they try to come down. Ryan Maiden over on his roof and flips back around, but multiple cars involved in this one, and the caution flag comes out as they try to get on the pit road, and Stephen Willie. You've got to be kidding me. And he just plowed his car into the end of pit road wall. You cannot make these storylines up, folks. Maiden involved in that one rampage as well. Amethyst Ashley. We'll see how much damage all these race cars have. Looks a lot more severe than the crash from segment 2 of the Open. Could have the potential to knock some people out. So let's see what happened here. Oh, geez. I wonder if Grattan didn't know if Maiden was coming down. He must not have signaled to him, so the 29 car had a big boost of momentum coming through, and then the 99 cut in front of him. Davidson gets his tires off the ground. Johnny Gardner involved in that. I think NASCAR Fan 19 and Stephen Willie caught up in an incident away from where that originated. That's a huge disaster. That's about half our field involved in just this one accident. We were watching Davidson for a second there, and I think we saw a camera on him, and yeah, there's where he gets into Ryan Maiden as he tries to skirt his way around that incident. Clearly didn't work there. And there's where Stephen Willie hit the wall. There's a lot of speed lost, and now we're riding on board Ryan Maiden. Doesn't tell us a lot there, but oh man, Amethyst Ashley almost made it through that and then just barely got clipped as Maiden came back up the racetrack. And there's Willie hitting the wall again. Now onboard Grattan. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell from that angle that the 29 car had zero idea that the 99 car was ready to merge, but Grattan fortunate that he was able to just get away with just that contact. And now riding on board Noah cars. Wow! And keeps on going. It looked like Cars was committed to staying out for at least a lap more, and he had to do some swerve moves to get around that one. I think David Davidson might have came down on him, but beyond that, he's all good. But, oh man, we got trouble. This was on the pit road cycle. That was obviously as they were coming off. Reese Butcher gets into Nick Smith, and Smith gets stuck on the apron. A high degree of banking, and he got stuck on it, and now he's a lap down from that incident right there on pit road. So 18 car has some work to do if he wants to keep himself in this one. Currently riding around at the back of this pack. But Kenny Knox, currently out there right now. I believe that the oh man, one car I think spun his tires and the 18 car gets held up by it. And this is a big disaster for Nick Smith, who may not be able to even transfer to the next segment. And you can see the rest of the field is so far away from him that he has little chance of catching them. Even a caution flag couldn't solve that. Someone's down on the apron. That's Kenny Knox from the lead. And he's coming down. I don't even know what this is for, because he was the leader. So he couldn't have passed anybody for a penalty. And I think he did come down. He stayed out when they crashed, but I do believe he came down that next lap when they were under caution, so I don't know what this is for. And we're hearing it might have been a loose lug nut. I think they didn't want to get the penalty under the segment. A big disaster for Kenny Knox. This is the final lap of the segment. Colin Lindsay currently leading it. If Kenny Knox gets past right here, he won't advance either. They're making the big sweeping turn. And there is Knox. He is going to get passed up by Lindsay. And the rest of the field, he is not going to make this next segment. 2 cars a lap down, 3 wrecked out. And in this first segment, Colin Lindsay going to be the one that takes the checkered flag. So a little bit of late drama right there. Colin Lindsay gets the segment win. He'll lead the way in segment number 2. But we're going to head to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with a reset of how this field looks now. Back here at Green Valley Super Speed Ring for the NFRN All-Star Race. 5 of our original 16 drivers eliminated. Kenny Knox, Nick Smith, David Davidson, Ryan Maiden, and Stephen Willie. Not going to be able to compete at the end of this one. Colin Lindsay and William Brock leading the charge for this segment's second segment. And they get the green flag to get going once again. A little bit of late drama in that segment as 3 of those guys get wrecked out because of coming down to pit road. And then you got Nick Smith, who got spun off the bumper of Reese Butcher, who I'm sure he can't really appreciate that. And I'm not sure what any context was about that. But also Kenny Knox got the loose lug nut trying to speed off pit road and still ended up getting back to the lead after doing that. But then obviously when it was loose, he had to come down and make sure it was tightened, because officials in the NFRN would not have let that slide if he was able to advance this next segment. So a good call overall for safety, just not turning out his way in terms of getting around on this All-Star race. Julio Caesar back out in front. He's got the playoff berth clinched with his Columbia win. All he has to do is really keep it in the top 25 in points, and he'll make his way to the chase. But that will be up to him to the side. Just got to keep it clean throughout the rest of the season. Keep it consistent at the front of the field. An onboard NASCAR Fan 19 moving to the inside of William Brock. He's a little bit further back from this main pack. NASCAR Fan 19 really close to almost getting back-to-back victories. He won in races 18 and 20. And now he gets turned in by William Brock, both at the outside wall and on the roofs. And Brock continues to tumble down into turn number 1 and across the pit road wall. And he finally settled, and thank goodness, because he was getting really close to those pit stalls. But massive accident for 2 drivers 64 car also destroyed. And that brings out a caution. The rest of the field racing back right now. Oh man, the 44 and the 6 almost looked like they got together right there. That would have been really testy if they just wrecked again coming to the caution, but that is huge for both the 64 and the 23. I believe those were the last two Toyotas running, and now they're both completely wrecked out. That leaves only Chevrolets and Fords in the rest of this field. And now Reese Butcher is meant to have the lead, and they really do have a struggle trying to get slowed down and in the correct order. But they will come down for pit stops. I think everyone learned from all the situation happening in the All-Star Open from the first segment that they decided that taking an early caution pit stop is the right thing to do. And fortunately, they all get it settled out in terms of running order, so they all should come down at a pretty steady rate. But Reese Butcher makes his way on first. Obviously had the controversy with Nick Smith. The 18 car, he was pulling off his pit stall. I don't know if it was a matter of the 18 coming up too early, but either way, it leaves the 18 car out, and Butcher continues to run and has the lead to show for it. Oh, and a little contact between Gradden and Lindsay, and Gradden is stalled out. And a big disaster for Stuart Gradden. I'm not sure what happened there, but Lindsay got into the back of Gradden. I don't even know if the 29 car approached his stall as he would have liked to, but it definitely didn't work out. And as we come off pit road, there's even more contact. Johnny Gardner and Jack Krause, and now Jack Krause is hitting Noah Cars, and neither one letting off the gas. And the 44 gets spun around. Fortunately, it doesn't look like, oh, geez, a little quick to get up on the banking, but fortunately they're not stuck, so that's not going to be a factor. Okay, let's take a look at this first. Oh, geez, it almost looks like Brock got loose off the corner and came down with more speed into NASCAR Fan 19, turning both of them into the wall, and heavy contact for both of those drivers and sends them both over. I feel like watching it live, it seemed like this 23 car tumbled a ton more than the 64 car did. So I think NASCAR Fan 19, he flips a few times, but spent most of the wreck on his roof. And I think that part right there where he hits just the edge of the racetrack, that puts him on his roof until he basically gets down to the banking. But Brock just continues to just tumble, and he goes all the way down the turn 1 banking, and eventually he's going to get down over the pit road wall here, which is a huge safety concern. But the way this track is configured, there's not a ton you can do here unless you install a fence on the pit road wall. You can see just the way that it rolled, it went over so easily. And it didn't even just go over easily, it soared over that pit road wall. But a ton of hard looks for the 23 car, and the car is absolutely destroyed. Fortunately, it has a new race car for the main race, our 6th race of the season, back here again next week, but in terms of his all-star race hopes, it's completely shot now after taking that hard lick. From another angle, I think we'll focus on the 64 car in this one. You could really do a flip count on Brock, but yeah, you can see NASCAR Fan 19. After he hit that edge of the racetrack, he mainly stayed on his roof until he gets down to this banking, and that sends him over a couple more times. But really hard hits for both of these drivers. We'll take an onboard look of NASCAR Fan 19, who we were following just before he wrecked. Yeah, big disaster for both these race teams. And for Toyota as a manufacturer, with Nick Smith getting put down a lap, spun off pit road, and now these two wrecked each other. A terrible day for Toyota in general, but now they're all out of the now they're all out of the race, and we're getting ready to go back to green flag. This is lap number 9 that we're coming up on, and Stuart Brad, you can see he pulled back to the end. He managed to stay on the lead lap, and that's pretty huge for that 29 car. He was able to get his car back fired up. The green flag flies with Reese Butcher still in the lead. And that 90 car looked like he could have gotten his second career victory at Mirage. He led the first 33 laps of the race, but then his car stalled as he was trying to leave pit road, and he ended up with a 31st place finish. So a big disappointment for Butcher, trying to seek out his second victory. He almost made it happen in the same point in the season this year. His race 4 at Delaware in 2016 was a victory. He could have made it a race 4 at Mirage in 2017, another victory, but it didn't happen then. And now I'm just looking forward to see if he can get another victory sometime this season to lock himself back into the chase for a second consecutive year. And back at the front of the field, we're heading up to our halfway point. Colin Lindsay and Julio Caesar currently running side by side. Butcher, Rampage, Ashley both in this pack. Noah Cars has fallen off a little bit. I wonder if the incident off pit road gave him a little bit of damage. He's just trailing just a bit behind, but not enough to really lose pace. So I think he'll be okay as long as he doesn't have to come down to pit road for any emergency. As long as he can just ride around in the back, he'll be okay. Looking at Amethyst Ashley, just took the lead. She has 3 finishes outside the top 20, which is a complete contrast to her 2 top 10s, including her Pigs Cliff victory. So we're interested to see, because she is currently I believe she's last among the drivers that have their playoff berths locked in. I think that's 14th in points, which is not terrible, obviously, but when you're thinking about the top 25 in points and who might be one of those that get left out at the end of the season, you got to be concerned about where you're running at the moment. You really don't want any worse finishes than you are getting this early in the season. There's obviously a lot of point scattering that goes in at the beginning of the season. So realistically, looking to keep yourself up there, and hopefully she can do just that by getting some more consistent finishes at the front of the field. Jack Krause, your segment 3 winner, making his way up here, leading this field right now, but Julio Caesar now looking to the inside, and Gradden tried to make a peek to make it 3 wide, but Caesar cut down on him. Either that or Gradden managed to back off. 3 wide for second. Oh, man! Looked like Ashley was about to cut down and get underneath Caesar, but I think Caesar just completely slammed the door on her, and really tightly. I almost thought that was going to be a wreck heading into turn number 1. Ashley showing some good driving experience as she managed to not make that happen. At least she might have just braked just a tiny bit to make sure that wreck didn't happen. Oh, but we are going to see a wreck right here. Reese Butcher and Julio Caesar. And there goes Ashley now. Oh, and Noah Cars as he was just riding around the back trying to keep it clean, and he gets caught up in it. And just as we were talking about Caesar and Ashley keeping it from being wrecked, and now both of them get involved. But I do believe that the 90 car was the one that initiated that one. I think he got tight off the corner. And if anything, he might have been the one that got off the smoothest out of that incident. We're watching back now. Yeah, that you can see the darker line, and you can definitely tell that the 90 car changed lanes there. Zero car with a heavy hit to the outside wall and then rebounds back where Ashley is there to meet him. And then Reese Butcher pulls away as Caesar hits that inside wall and gets jerked around really violently. And then the 44 car barrels in there with just absolutely nowhere to go. And even then, he was trying to keep it away from the pack to keep it clean, possibly. And that ends up in a completely destroyed race car. And this is crazy at this point, as we still have 2 segments left to go, but we could see as little as 5 cars left in this field if all of those involved in this one get dropped out. Yeah, I definitely put the blame on the 90 car for that one. Man, look at that. It's going to cause a lot of dizziness. This 0 car, Julio Caesar, has not caught a break on the violent accidents. Considering Pigs Cliff with Nick Smith, Riki Raceway with Eric Van Arsdale and Bruno De Barros. And now you could call this one a really violent accident. And we are going to see the white flag displayed right here, but they are going to go back to green. So this is a 1-lap shootout. But I think at this point, we see 6 cars on the racetrack, and Reese Butcher is among them. I honestly think they just want to keep this race clean, and they want to get to the finish of this segment, just for the sake of being able to race each other for at least 30 more laps. And Rampage led that pack to the green. Colin Lindsay quickly swept to the inside, take that away from him. Now Johnny Gardner's trying to see if he can get to the inside of the 32 car. And a close finish at the checkered flag. And I believe Gardner got it. Keeps Lindsay from going 1-2 in the segments. But the point is, all 6 of these drivers left in the field continue to race. And that will affect Gardner's starting spot. But they'll come down to pit road and get their tires checked. We will be right back after this quick commercial break.
At Discount Tire, we stick to what we know. The world's best brands of tires and wheels, all at prices so low, we can't afford real actors.
Now, should he be looking at me the first eye?
You gotta bring more energy.
I know,
man.
I wasn't good enough, sorry. Awesome.
One
I don't
word.
know what I was going to say, awesome. I nailed it that time, too.
I did too. I felt
like
that was
best
the
one.
take. I'm glad I get to see these before they air. I think that's gonna be really good.
I said the old,
That's gotta look good. I gotta see that.
We return to Green Valley Superspeedway for the NFRN All-Star Race, and it's been another disastrous segment as another 5 drivers eliminated. Amethyst Ashley, Noah Cars, Julio Caesar, NASCAR Fan 19, and William Brock all out after segment number 2. We have 30 laps remaining, a 20 and 10 lap segment left to go, and we'll hit that 20 lap segment here as the green flag flies. Johnny Gardner able to take the last lap pass on Colin Lindsay, as well as Rampage, realistically. So the one car had led that restart, but Gardner was able to put himself up there and trying to see if he can just get a little advantage on his start. Has not finished in the top 10 yet this season. He got a best finish at Riki Raceway, just outside of it though, at 11th place. And qualified for this event, winning at RTR Motorsports Park. And in quite a weird fashion, it was a awkward caution flag under pit cycles that left most of the field realistically a lap down, not necessarily a literal lap down, but considering how far of a gap that Gardner had running at the back of the field, yet having the lead, really showed that he had no competition trying to get the victory in the 19th race of the 2016 season. So, returning as a driver again this year, able to make his way into the show. Now we're seeing if he can win this coveted all-star race. 6 drivers all packed together. Not sure what kind of damage Reese Butcher had after that accident in segment 2, but obviously he had the time during the break to fix it. And it looks like he's still running competitively. So he's still a part of this one, despite being a bit of controversy in this one. A questionable thing on pit road. And then a wreck that might have been his fault on the front stretch in the next segment. Jack Krause had a 3-race top 10 streak going between races 2 and 4. And you can realistically say that he was the best of the 3 transfer drivers in the Open. And that wouldn't be a bad call, because he is the highest in standings among those drivers, which include Ryan Maiden and David Davidson. But really a good performance by this rookie driver, who was not able to grab a victory in the first 5 races of the season. And pretty hard to say that you can grab a victory in the first 5 races of the season. The fact that we've had a ton of turnover in the driver roster shows that it was easy for some of these rookies to come up and win compared to the veteran drivers. And William Brock was really realistically the only veteran that could win, and it was still his first career win. And that's why we have Stuart Gradden also in this field. He is the other rookie competing at the end of this one. And they're currently running 1-2 as they try to hold off the veteran drivers. But looks like Reese Butcher as well as Rampage get the inside line. Riding on the helmet cam of Stuart Gradden, who is obviously our hot seat driver from Reiki, going into the next race remaining at Green Valley Super Speedring as well. Despite running mid-pack, in fact, running mid-pack would be a understatement, because he was a legitimate contender at Reiki, but couldn't tell what kind of pit strategy they were going on, because he came down just as the pace car was as well, along with a few other cars, and that led him to being involved in an accident and then running and finishing in the mid-pack a lap down. So Gradden's just trying to get that out of his head, because he obviously had one of the hottest starts to any season you could have asked for, including a victory that got him into the show. Gonna see if he can take that blue bullet up to the front. And obviously we call it the blue bullet, not because of the car itself and its per-tech scheme, but having all of those great finishes and the Pikes Peak win under his belt. Just 5 races into his Elite Cup Series career, showing a lot of strength in this league as he is just a rookie. We are approaching the halfway point of this race. And there you go. There is that 4-race top 10 streak we were talking about. And he's still contending, and he's obviously showing a lot of talent among these veteran drivers. You got Lindsay up there at the top of this 3-wide situation, Rampage on the bottom. Those are your top 2 drivers in the standings last year. John Arndt, the other Championship 4 contender in the running, but did not have a win to fall back on and couldn't make it through the transfer spots in the All-Star Open. And we also had Barry Goldberg, who was suspended for the season for a violation of league rules. So he obviously couldn't compete at all. But Gradden's in good hands right here, trying to face some of the top talent that this league had to offer in the first season. Jack Krause really getting wild loose off the front stretch. He tried to kind of block the hard-charging cars of Reese Butcher and Johnny Gardner, but now the 34 car going to slip on the outside. We are approaching pit stops once again. Could happen under green flag, and we got to see if they're going to wreck again. Hopefully the smaller field will give them a little bit of lenience to keep from wrecking each other, but who knows? They've been pretty aggressive this entire time, and they're really not holding anything back. They want to be at the front as much as they can, and it looks like Stuart Gradden's actually dropping back, which is a very skilled move to make, because that will keep him from at least attempt to keep him from trouble. We see 4 cars coming down. Nope, everyone's coming down now, and it is clean. All right, so we finally got a clean merge on the pit road. Green flag pit stops happening right now. All 6 cars down there. Johnny Gardner's going to be the one that leads them. We'll see what kind of strategy that everyone takes. Man, those first 4 cars come in at unison. That kind of unison that a Russian judge would give a 4 to. And it looks like 4 tires all around. Everyone's trying to get their tires in check. They pull out once again, and Gradden's going to be in the back of the field again, but it looks like he kind of slowed down. He was a little bit slow, but I wonder if being behind Reese Butcher on the entry caused that a little bit. Because now he's going to be off the pace of these other 5 drivers that are packed together. And that could be really disastrous if he gets too slow. But I honestly think that this might be the best situation for Gradden, because he'll be away from those accidents if they were to occur in this pack. And he'll have the time to slow down, unlike Cars did, trying to slip back a little bit if that was his plan in the first place. So that might be a saving grace for Gradden to get into the final segment. But in the meanwhile, the 5 drivers at the front continue to hustle for position and see if they can make their way to the front and have the advantage when they start the final segment. They just have to survive that long. And we're looking on the back of Johnny Gardner. Sees a 3-wide situation, a lot of veteran drivers. And they make up the first 4 spots as Jack Krause has slipped back to 5th. With obviously Gradden in the back, but looks like Gardner creeping to the top and giving an open lane to both Butcher and Lindsay. Krause goes down there as well. And those turn 4 exits can just not be trusted. They look like they're going to wreck every time they get off of it, but they somehow keep it in check. Just a matter of the setups, as mentioned earlier in the day. They're making it so that they run well on the circle part of the racetrack, as Rampage cuts down and makes it 4 wide in a battle here for the lead. And that's a gutsy veteran move right there, as the 1 car hits the point with 3 laps to go. And as I was mentioning, yeah, they really try to make the performance down in the circle part of the track as best as they can, as Butcher and Gardner really got loose trying to enter the corner, but trying to look for the lead as well. And Jack Krause, he's peeking down there. He almost looked tempted to make it 4 wide once again, but he's drafting Gardner up to the front. Now the 1 car gets down to that line and tries to push the 34 forward. And now Rampage comes by on the inside, might be able to take the lead. Would be a nice advantage to have the top spot in this final segment. White flag flies. But obviously with the race at hand and the draft that is incurred here, it might not even make a difference how they finish. In this segment, it's going to matter how they finish in the next segment. Gradden's still out of view. But Reese Butcher on the inside of Rampage right now, and it looks like he might have the advantage. When they come off this corner, just has to hit his marks, and he does. It was a close race at the end there, but Butcher is going to win that segment. And there we see Gradden comes in, but he is obviously still in contention right here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the conclusion of the NFRN All-Star Race.
Here's something you may not know.
A NASCAR tire running all out on an oval does about 1,500 rotations per lap. That's about 3,000 rotations per minute. What does 3,000 rotations a minute look like? Just one more time. It looks a little bit like that. Sorry, Tony. That's the science behind rotation. You either get it or you don't. Goodyear gets it. That's why they've been making tires to face NASCAR's grueling demands for 60 years. And that's why they've got a tire that's right for you. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
And we are back at Green Valley Super Speedway. This is the final segment of the NFRN All-Star Race. We have cut ourselves down to 6 drivers left after 10 have been eliminated in any way you can think of. We've had several wrecks. We've had a few that got lapped on various situations. But now it comes down to which one of these drivers is going to be able to take home the victory. We have 4 veterans in this field, as well as 2 rookie drivers, including one of those that just squeaked his way in segment 3 of the All-Star Open. Jack Krause starting there in the 4th position. So this could really come down to a really exciting finish. If you got good racing, even if it's a small amount of cars, it can be exciting racing. And at a track that, despite all of its danger, has still had quite a good amount of racing happen, we could really be in for a treat in these final 10 laps of the NFRN All-Star Race. The pace car is down on the apron. We're about to hit the front stretch. Reese Butcher, the winner of segment 3, is going to have the pole position and lead them off the start. Rampage to his outside. Can he get the good start? We're about to see right here. Green flag flies. That's an even start. Rampage judged the 90 cars run well. Even though Butcher gets the advantage on the inside, everyone's still packed up together. Lindsay down at the inside. He started 5th in this segment, and now he's already up to 2nd. It's good to see that Lindsay is still in this one, as he's obviously had a struggle of a season. And not just that, also being demoted to the Amateur Cup Series after winning, or rather being 2nd place in the standings last season. Now he's looking for some redemption and seeing if he can be the one who gets on top at the end of this one. Yeah, a 4-wide situation right there flew over my head. Reese Butcher gets the worst of that, drops back down to 6th place. Rampage goes underneath Jack Krause. Gradnell's outside, 3 wide for 2nd place. We're just a fifth of the way through this segment, and it's already exciting stuff happening. Lindsay cuts down, but looks like Rampage just barely had the advantage, but now he doesn't, as Lindsay able to keep it in the lead. If he wants to get to the end of this one, he'll have to do a lot of blocking, and I think the best job of trying to keep a lead we saw done was David Davidson. He did lose that lead, but he was able to get back to it at the end of segment number 2 on a 3-lap shootout. Now Lindsay will be the one to try to see if he can maintain that, but Jack Krause, one of the surprises in this event, is making his way to the front. He got that transfer spot late, but now he's trying to work his way into a position where he could win this entire thing. And now it's a 3-wide battle at the front once again. Butcher cut down. Tries to make it stick, and he does. And he's got Gradden and Rampage to his back bumper. Krause is going to slip back. That's just the nature of this racetrack. Almost functions like a super speedway, but it's still pretty short in nature. And another 3-wide battle at the front. as we're approaching halfway in this segment. Side by side. A champion and a points leader. Rampage with the advantage as they hit halfway. Jack Krause is trailing now. He's trying to get the draft to get caught back up to this pack. And this is not the time that you can lose the pack. There is no strategy you're playing now. This is balls out for the victory. On board Stuart Gradden. A helmet shot of what it looks like to be 4 laps from the end of this one. It looks like someone got loose. And they're still maintaining competitive speed, but it looks like a sketchy situation there coming off the turn into the front stretch. Gradden's able to slip into 3rd place now. Gets underneath Gardner and Rampage. Lindsay and Butcher are now competing for the lead. And Gradden's trying to make his way up there silently. We mentioned Butcher had an opportunity to win a race this season, clinch another playoff berth. And it all went downhill. And we're looking back now. Jack Krause, he has lost this draft, and this is a disaster for the 34 driver. It does not look like he has a chance to win this one, as he continues to fade back from this 5-car breakaway now. And we're about to hit 2 laps to go in the NFRN All-Star race. Butcher and Rampage continue to run side by side. Gardner runs the low line with the 1 car, and they get the advantage. Now we'll see what Gardner tries to do as he's on the inside of Rampage. And Gradden makes his way to the inside of Reese Butcher, Lindsay trailing. But he's not trailing as much as Jack Krause. That looks like the 34 car is done for. And Gradden's trying to make it 3 wide. This is the white flag lap. 1 more lap to go in the NFRN All-Star race. Rampage shuffled to the outside. Gradden on the inside of Gardner. And here comes Colin Lindsay. And Lindsay's got the back bumper of Gradden on his quarter panel. 3 Fords up here at the front. Lindsay to the inside of Gradden. Side by side, coming off of turn number 4. Down the front stretch. It's going to be a photo finish. Checkered flag. Who got it? Leaderboard still unsure. It's Stuart Gradden. He's got the NFRN All-Star race win. And he did that from the outside line. 3/1000ths of a second over Colin Lindsay. Incredible. Look at the finish of this one. At this point, they look like they're in turn 4. They're definitely still turning. And at this point, it looks like Gradden has the advantage, but they're not through the turn. I think Lindsay actually gets a little bit ahead. I know we're not at a perfect angle here, but at this point, it looks like Lindsay has the advantage. But somehow, Gradden gets the advantage off of the turn and propels himself to the victory. Right here, it looks dead even. And I wonder if Gradden just got a little burst of speed as he just barely traveled down the hill off the outside of the racetrack. And look at that! Closest finish in NFRN history. All coming down to a nose. There you go. Wow! Pure inches separating those 2 Ford drivers. And Gradden, unbelievable drive. Right on board his helmet cam. And yeah, you can see, like, in that mirror shot, he just, the 32 car barely slipped right at the worst possible time off of that turn. That might have been the tiniest mistake that cost Lindsay that race. Absolutely unbelievable. So a look at our final finishing results. Stuart Gradden on the top of the board, and really just an outstanding performance by that Blue Bullet, the 29 PureTech Ford, with 4 top 10s and a victory on the season, and now gets this win in the NFRN All-Star race. It is just incredible for a rookie to come in and do. And now we'll hope to see that he doesn't have the kind of breakdown that we saw someone like Paul Brenner had in the playoffs. But hopefully we don't see that again, because Gradden is definitely a fun driver to watch. Colin Lindsay can't catch a break when it comes to this series. Just hasn't had the experience to start up here this season, and hasn't had a great run in the Amateur Cup Series also. Still looking to see if he can get some more opportunities up here, but he's going to have to settle for second in this All-Star race today. 3rd through 6th remained in the race. Race Butcher, Johnny Gardner in 3 and 4. Rampage slipped back to 5th, and Jet Krause really never had a chance after he fell off the pack. And the rest of the field all full of DNFs. 16 drivers came in, but only 6 survived, staying on the lead lap for the entirety of the race. And obviously Stephen Willie, it really just speaks volumes to what his season has been like. And he will end up in last place. Well, that is going to end all the drama here today. Congrats to Stuart Gradden. The Blue Bullet gets another victory, this time in the NFRN All-Star race. And we will be back next time here at the same spot. Green Valley Superspeed Ring will be host to the 6th Elite Cup Series race of the season. Until then, my name is Colin Denton with RVN, and we hope to see you next time.